right, greetings. Welcome in. It's Bettor's Last Stand, show 79, coming to you from the Pine Room Studios, downtown Wheeling, as we get ready for March Madness. Just a couple days away, or when you're listening to this, it'll already have one day in the books, but that's okay. You'll have checked out all the picks we have on the BLS_PRP Twitter or X page, also at the Pine Room Studios. You can follow us on there and get all the picks in real time. We hope you were ready for the tournament like we are. So hopefully we can get some winners out there. We had a good week last week. We're going to recap that here briefly, and hopefully we carry that over here into the NCAA tournament, which begins, last night actually with the first four, and then the second first four tonight. So we'll talk plenty about basketball. That's where we're going to spend the entire first segment. We're going to hit on some hockey and some little bit of golf and some Aussie rules in the second part, and then finish it up with our man Sam, who's back. We'll talk some NASCAR, some Australian Grand Prix from for the F1 guys, and then the INDY CAR. They're in a non-points event, so we probably won't talk a whole lot about that, but I want to ask Sam if he's familiar with this Thermal Club racetrack, which I know nothing about. So racing is back, and we have lots on the docket, so let's not waste any more time. We were up over 6 units last week without golf. Golf was right there on the cusp of having a really good return there with Brian Harmon, Hideki Matsuyama, both up in the mix. Harmon really had a good chance to win the tournament. He played well enough to win. Scheffler just a little bit too good. Some of the other guys really fell apart there. Xander Schauffele, Wyndham Clark played okay in the last round. He had that putt go halfway down that would have forced a playoff, but Scheffler gets the job done at a very low price. So we didn't recommend him here, but we had some good ones as far as top 10s, top 5s, and, of course, making the cut. So we're up 6.25 units, not counting golf. With golf, we were up plus 875, so just under 9. I was up 1175 last week with the golf for myself. 5 of the 9 golfers made the cut. Near win with Harmon and Hideki, as we mentioned. And then in conference tournaments, we were plus 1185, so almost 12 units in conference tournament winners. We gave out, I think, 6 of them, maybe 7. And we hit several. New Mexico 6-1, Illinois plus 325. None of these were favorites except for UConn. UConn minus 130, so that one was a little bit of a easy way out one. But Iowa State 4-1. We had them. We had Auburn at plus 260. Now we had both teams in the SEC championship game, so you were in a spot where you could definitely hedge out. Florida was going to be the much better payout, so if you were on both of those, you could have loaded up on some Auburn money line, or actually probably not money lines. It's not going to get you a whole lot back because you were giving up a pretty good price there, but you could have once Auburn punched their ticket into the final, you probably could have got them still at a plus price. I think they played the first game in the semis, but I could be wrong. I may have misremembered that. But anyway, we had both teams in the finals of the SEC tournament. That's always a really good feeling when you got money on both sides. It's just a matter of how much. Florida had a lot of chances. They actually got within 1 and then just fell apart. Had a guy get hurt. It was an ugly finish to the game for them. But we get the job done with Auburn there. So, again, New Mexico 6-1. That's a great win down there in the Mountain West. Really tough conference. Really believed in New Mexico all year. You've heard me tout them on here. They went down into a little bit of a lull. Was a little bit worried about them, but I thought maybe they would bring their game back up, knowing that they had to really make a deep run to have any shot at getting in the tournament, and then they did. They win it all in impressive fashion. They shut down San Diego State in the last 5 minutes of the game, basically holding them scoreless to take a commanding lead and hold on for the win. Illinois wasn't easy. They actually went from down 10 to up 5 very quickly, so Illinois had some incredible seesaw times of the games in the Big Ten tournament where the Ohio State looked like they had them beat, and then their semifinal game against Nebraska looked like they were in trouble, and then the final against Wisconsin, they look like they were in trouble there too. So Illinois is a team we'll talk about here a little bit later. They worry me because they won the tournament. I don't like playing teams back off of that, but if they can survive the first game, they're a team that you can't count out. They remind me a little bit of Miami from last year because even when you think they're dead and buried, they score so quickly they can get back into the game very fast. So we'll keep an eye on that with the Illini if they can get back past the first game. So New Mexico, Illinois, Iowa State, Auburn, UConn, all winners there. We had UC Davis. Oh, they just come up short for us. They were in the final there. And we also had the Marist Red Foxes lose a heartbreaker in the semifinals of the Metro Atlantic. So pretty good time there with the conference tournaments. Again, up about 12 units there with the conference tournament picks. Sam had some bad luck with NASCAR again. So did I. Blaney and McDowell were you couldn't get him there. And then we had Gibbs, Chase Elliott. They had great cars at one point or another. I thought both of them were going to have a really good chance of winning. Chase Elliott was picking guys off left and right, but Denny Hamlin a little too strong there for everybody, and the way that the things sorted out after some of the stages in the pits. Martin Truex tried to give him a run, but he couldn't quite get by. We were 3-5 in regular college basketball plays, 2-1 in the Premier League, and 2-0 in the NHL, 6-5 in the AFL. Had some couple tight losses in the AFL, but overall not bad for AFL for the first round one last week. So we'll talk more about that in the second part of the show. All right, let's get on to college basketball. Everybody wants to talk about that right now. It is that time of year. Let's share a few things about the tournament going in here right now. So you got 72% of the bets were on Howard from the other night. So they were -3 in the first game of the first four. Wagner ends up winning the game 71-68. So I think that was probably a pretty decent return for most of the sports books. Kansas from 8.5 down to 7 after you find out Kevin McCullough will not play for the Jayhawks, so he's not going to play the entire tournament. So Bill Self kind of blew smoke up the committee's ass, which those idiots, they'll fall for anything. We'll get into the field construction here momentarily, but Kansas down to 7-point favorite here. They could be ripe to get beat right away. Most of the bets so far, you got a lot of people back in Kentucky. As we said last week, they're the worst liability of anybody. McNeese State, Kansas, Howard, and JMU. Howard last night out already, but which is weird because Kansas is like, okay, they think the number's low, they're going to play Kansas. That's just weird to me. Kentucky, a lot of steam. McNeese, a lot of steam. JMU, a lot of steam. The most money wagered on, those were the most bet slips. The most money wagered so far: Colorado State, JMU, Howard, who is out, Colorado, and Texas A&M. So those are interesting things there. UConn, to me, got the toughest bracket. When you look at this, the East bracket, the East bracket was the hardest bracket. When I did this last week, or when I kind of take you through some of the teams that I really liked, Iowa State, Illinois, Auburn, all in that region with UConn. That is ridiculous. And then you got teams like Drake in there and BYU, who I think is dangerous. FAU, the defending Final Four team from last year, and then UAB, who won their conference tournament impressively. I don't know what they're thinking there. They really poor job by the committee to seed here. We talked about it on the radio, so be sure and check it out. I'm sure we'll elaborate more on it. And last night they were exposed with Virginia embarrassing itself. But you know what? I'll take it because I had Colorado State and I had under in the game, and it was basically a cigar smoker when I went to bed. I had no worries at all that I would wake up and it would be Virginia and over. And it sure didn't disappoint. So, well done, committee. Again, you hit it out of the park with these. The first game was fine. Howard Wagner, pretty even matchup. They didn't do too bad with that one. But matching the 16 seeds is pretty easy to do. It's the higher seeds of the bigger conferences, which is just a travesty. And there's a lot of teams misseeded. But we'll go through the bracket here and go through what I like for the first weekend in the NCAA tournament. So, let's shift our focuses over to that right now as we prepare for action. I'm not going to go through a lot of the games from Thursday because it's not going to do you any good. So we're going to skip all those games. I will have those games up on our BLS_PRP page, but right now it looks like I'm going to be on the Michigan State game over, BYU, Oregon, Nevada, South Dakota, or some of the teams that I like, and those are like the Illinois game under, I like the Kentucky game over a lot, the South Dakota, Iowa State game under. Texas Tech is my best bet of the weekend. Sorry you'll miss that one, but hopefully you check out the Twitter page for that one. And then I'm going to probably be back in Drake there too. So let's get into Friday. Friday, Northwestern and Florida Atlantic. Right now, Florida Atlantic around a 2.5-point favorite in that contest, a total 142. Some sharp play on Northwestern in this one. Northwestern's defense concerns me a little bit. They're not very good defensively. I kind of like Florida Atlantic here, but I don't have an official play, so I lean FAU in that one. Don't love that, though. I think FAU kind of kicks it back into gear. Colgate and Baylor in the next game up on True TV, 12:40 tip. It'll be Baylor 14, 138.5 on this one. I kind of like Baylor here a little bit, and I know that's surprising. They're not a team that I really love, But I think offensively, Colgate is going to, or defensively, Colgate is going to struggle to slow Baylor down. Baylor will score enough points to be able to win this game. I think they pull away late and probably cover the 14. But again, I don't love that play. UAB and San Diego State. UAB's defense worries me quite a bit. Sharp money showing on UAB. I was leaning towards UAB. San Diego State to me is overseeded. They're up at 5. They were 5th in their freaking league this year, and they lost in the championship game. I thought that some of the other Mountain West teams got misseeded too. They were a little bit too low. I didn't really understand this. It's like they're rewarding Kansas or San Diego State and I guess Kansas from their past experiences. I think that's why Virginia got in too. I don't follow that. And these ADs and administrators are as corrupt individuals as you ever meet. So don't let anybody tell you otherwise. They're not very honest and downright good people. And I'm not speaking for all of them because I'm sure there's great people out there that assemble these committees. But I've been around college athletics for a long time and in my prior life, and I can tell you these people are out for themselves, and they really don't care about doing a good job so long as they're rewarded and they get compensated and what have you. So I have zero faith in this committee to do a good job, and they did not disappoint. They did about exactly what I expected. Western Kentucky, Marquette, 2 o'clock tip TBS. It'll be Marquette minus 14, the total 158.5. I like the over in this game. I think that'll be a high-tempo game. Marquette will play a high-tempo style. Western Kentucky, one of the fastest tempo teams in the entire tournament, so we'll be going with that game over the total. I wouldn't hesitate to sprinkle a little money line on Western Kentucky there. I think they might be able to win that game. Marquette just doesn't do it for me. I just don't think the Big East is as good as everybody else thinks it is. Creighton and Marquette, to me, are not that good, and that could be UConn's undoing. Maybe I've rated them too high because their league isn't that good, because I didn't really think the Big East was a very good league this year. I thought your 4th and 5th place teams were big drop-off, and I really don't think Creighton's any good off their home floor. And Marquette, they've been a little bit battered up with health. I don't think they're bad, but 14's too much for me. So we'll be going lean towards Western Kentucky and definitely love the over in that one. Stetson, they are the worst defensive team in this tournament. Yes, they're even worse than Alabama if that's possible, and they have to play UConn. UConn, 26.5, total 144. Can't tell you to do anything but play UConn here. This is going to be an absolute steamrolling. It doesn't even matter if they want to play hard or win this game. They're going to crush them. Maybe a first half play on UConn, but I'm going to be sitting that one out. It's just too big a number, and I know they're going to kill them. So it's just a matter. I don't want to lose by a point there when UConn has the game in hand. New Mexico and Clemson, 3 o'clock tip on True TV. It will be the Lobos of New Mexico -2 against Clemson, total 151.5. Now this one worries me a little bit. Really like New Mexico. But the problem is they win their tournament last week. They get hot. They win those 4 games in a row. They're riding high. They get into the tournament. Everybody's telling them how great they are. They're thinking they could put together a run. Can they? I don't know. The next game is always the toughest one to do. If they can get by this one, then I like their chances. But Clemson, a team, it's a Jekyll and Hyde. They've had some really good road wins, so on a neutral court, they might be okay. I don't think this team's any good at all, Clemson. But they have surprised from time to time and beaten some other teams in the ACC who people think are good. Really not certain that they really are that good. So if you look at Clemson, you'll see some teams on their resume and say, hey, geez, they beat some pretty good teams or teams that are in the tournament. I just really don't know how good a lot of these teams are. So I'm going to hesitantly play New Mexico here, but I don't love that play. So public all over Clemson, so that is a good sign. So the Lobos, yeah, but if they get past this one, I think they got a chance to do some damage. All right, let's go to a play that I do like. Yale and Auburn. It'll be Auburn -12.5, total 139. I love this game under the total. I think Auburn's length inside is going to be really tricky for Yale to do anything. Yale might have a little bit of size, but they're very slow compared to Auburn. I mean, this Auburn team is elite athlete after elite athlete. They went through the SEC tournament, and this team, to me, is an absolute Final Four contender. I'm not saying they'll cover this spread because they may be still on a little bit of a hangover after pounding Florida and winning that tournament, but Auburn, to me, is a contender. I think they get by this game, and I think they have a lot of momentum to go forward. I like their chances advancing far into this tournament. Texas A&M and Nebraska, a Friday game. This will be a 6:50 tip, so it's in that dinner window. Nebraska -1, total 147. I like Texas A&M here. Texas A&M has some good athletes, well coached. I thought they hung right in there with. I think they played Florida in the semifinals. They did a pretty good job. They just didn't have enough firepower late, and they have some guys that I think can give Nebraska quite a bit of problem down low athletically. Nebraska not an overly athletic team, and I think it showed in the Big Ten tournament. They played okay, but they just could not match the athleticism of an Illinois and some of these other better teams, even Wisconsin to a degree. So I'm going to be going with Texas A&M plus the 1 there. I like them on the money line too. I think they win that game at FedEx Forum in Memphis, Tennessee. Next game, 7-10 tip. It'll be Vermont and Duke. Sharp money coming on Vermont. Don't get that. Duke minus 12, total 132. Can't bet Duke here. Only thing I would consider betting here is the over in this game. I think Duke will win the game. I'm not sure they will cover. College of Charleston and Alabama. This is a one that I really like, a total in this one. 7:35 tip, True TV, total 173.5. It'll be Bama minus 9.5. I think Charleston might hang around here a little bit, but athletically, they can't match Alabama. I think Alabama probably wins in a tight game. The total 173.5. It's pretty high, but these two teams very poor on defense, very good on offense. It's a high total for a reason, so I think they're going to score. So let's go over the 173.5 in that one. Longwood and Houston. This is my best bet for Friday. It'll be Houston minus 24. Total 127.5. I'm going to go with Houston in the first half here, minus 15. And then my second part of that, so 1A and 1B, we're going to go with the Longwood Lancers under 52 points in the game. I don't think this team will break 50. I'm really not sure they'll break 45. But we'll see. I don't know how long Houston will leave their guys in. They're a little bit challenged depth-wise, and they may rest their guys. But this is going to be a game where Houston's going to be up 30 relatively quickly. And can they finish it out before Longwood gets up to 50, 52 points? I don't think they can. I think Houston wins this game something like 79-42 or something like that. I think it's going to be an absolute stranglehold by Houston on Longwood. So we're going to go with Houston for the first half, probably playing for the game too, minus the 24, and then under for Longwood's total team points of 52. JMU, Wisconsin, exciting game, 9:40 tip, CBS. It'll be Wisconsin minus 5.5, total 145. This is an intriguing game. JMU, very good conference. App State in that league beat them 2 times. App State, very good. Wisconsin, I was high on Wisconsin. You guys know that. You listen to this show. I was high on Wisconsin. Then I was really down on Wisconsin. Now they're starting to ascend again. So these teams playing hot. It's kind of like NHL, which we'll talk about in the next segment, about these teams up and down and up and down and up and down. And just when I think a team's done, here they come back. That's the way I am with Wisconsin right now. To me, Wisconsin should win this game, but I can't trust them. So I'm probably going to lean JMU here just to take the points. I think it's going to be a very close game, but I do like the over 145 in that one. That one's a play that I will be going with. TCU, Utah State, getting close to rounding it out here. Be TCU minus 3, total 150.5. This one in Indianapolis. All right, so TCU minus 3 and a neutral against Utah State. It's Indianapolis. Neither team probably going to have a whole lot of home court advantage. I really don't have a play in this game. I'd lean towards the dog, though. I think Utah State. I know Jamie Dixon has terrible NCAA tournament numbers in the first round. So I'm going to go Utah State there. But Utah State, I know, has lost a lot in the first round, too. But leaning Utah State. And then the final game of the day would be Grand Canyon and St. Mary's. St. Mary's minus 5.5. Total 131. St. Mary's was a team I was pretty high on for a while, and now that I'm starting to watch the games a little bit more as far as the Mountain West tournament, I watched the games or the West Coast Conference tournament, sorry. I watched their games against Gonzaga, and I watched their previous game, both of those teams, and I don't think that league's very good. And I think that Gonzaga being down makes the other teams look good, but they're really not. So I'm not certain that St. Mary's is much better than they have been the last few years. It just Gonzaga's not as good. So it's making them like inflated a little bit. St. Mary's limped home down the stretch, if you ask me. So I'm going with Grand Canyon here. I like them plus 5.5, 6 points. Total 131. I think that'll be right around the number. I'd lean towards the over in that one. But Grand Canyon is where I'm going to go with that one. So that's the Friday card. Let's get into the actual bracket itself. So there's a few bets that I thought were worth taking a shot with. And out of the East region, when I wrote out the bracket, I came out with Auburn going to the Final Four. I just thought they have the best overall chance with the personnel they have. I think they can beat UConn, but then having to beat UConn and Iowa State, that is really, really hard. So I'm really not certain that there's a whole lot out of that region I can bet. I liked Auburn plus the 380 to make the Final Four. BYU is a long shot, 15-1, but BYU would need probably Drake to beat Iowa State. BYU has to upset Illinois. I mean, this is a loaded region. I can make a case for Iowa State, Illinois, BYU, Auburn, obviously UConn, and Iowa State, all to make the Final Four, and even Florida Atlantic to a degree. So it's just ridiculous how they stack that region. So some of the teams I like are going to cannibalize each other up there. So the East region is one, unless you have a really strong play, that's tread lightly to me. I'll have the fewest amount of units on that region because there's so much volatility there, and the teams, there's some really good teams up there. So East region, tread lightly on that one. Let's drop down to the West. This is all on the left side of the bracket. North Carolina is probably going to win their game. I lean Michigan State in that game. We'll see what happens. I don't know. And then you get to St. Mary's, and then you get to Charleston, Alabama. These are tricky games. So St. Mary's, to me, I'm already a little bit down on them. I'd probably lean Grand Canyon in that. And then can Grand Canyon go out and beat North Carolina? I really don't know, because I think North Carolina will probably beat Michigan State or Mississippi State there. Don't know. New Mexico, another quandary. Can they keep it rolling? I think Baylor will win for sure. I think New Mexico, if they get by Clemson, they'll beat Baylor. And then the team that I do like, that I got my eye on a little bit, is Nevada. They're down in the very bottom. They're a 10 seed. They got a tough game. Actually, it's not that tough. I think they'll kill Dayton. I think Dayton stinks. I think the Atlantic 10 stinks. So I'm on Nevada. Arizona, I think, gets by Long Beach, but I think Nevada beats them. I think Nevada rematches again with New Mexico for probably the fourth time, I think, this year. And then I think Nevada beats North Carolina. So I'm going with the number 10 seed, Nevada Wolfpack, to make the Final Four, along with Auburn on the left side of the bracket. These probably will be burned by Saturday morning. So yes, out of the West region, I thought Nevada at 30-1 to win that region was really good. And then 75-1, my long shot on Grand Canyon, probably take a stab at both those kind of long shots. The right side of the bracket, I think, is going to be a little more formful, in my opinion. Houston, just based on the matchups right now, they're just going to be able to probably beat these teams. That game against Iowa State, they just shut it down. They knew they were done, and it didn't matter to them, and Iowa State needed the game more. So, I loved Iowa State in that spot. Now I love Houston to come back. Kelvin Sampson's been riding their asses. They'll be ready to go. They'll smash Longhorn. They'll smash A&M or Nebraska. Then they're just going to be too good for JMU. JMU's a quality team, but they won't be able to beat them. And then you go out to the regional semifinal, or the regional final, in the Elite Eight, and they're going to take on who I think is going to come out of that part, and it's going to be Colorado, who's hopefully going to win their game tonight in the first four against Boise State, and then Colorado will play Florida, who's kind of battered up. They'll beat them. Western Kentucky, I think, will beat Marquette, so I'm going to go Colorado over Western Kentucky. And then on the top part of the bottom side of the bracket, it'll be Texas Tech advancing. I love that. It's my best bet of the weekend. And then Kentucky will be too much for Oakland, but I like Tech to beat Kentucky. Defensively, they'll slow them down, and they'll be able to score on Kentucky because Kentucky doesn't guard anybody. And then I like Colorado. So got Colorado and Houston in the regional final in the South, and I'm going to go with Houston there. I think Houston has a very, very favorable bracket. A lot of teams that are not that good in that side versus what UConn has to deal with. And then you got Purdue. Lost to the 16 last year. I don't see that happening again. I think they'll be a little bit more guarded and ready to go here. They're not going to get surprised by Montana State or Grambling. It'll probably be Montana State. And then they're going to play Utah State, I think, who will beat TCU. Purdue will win that game as well. Then you got McNeese Gonzaga. This is an interesting one because I don't think that West Coast Conference is very good, as I said. So I'm going to go with McNeese here. A lot of people liking them, though, so I'm worried about that. Public popularity doesn't work very well. Samford also getting a lot of play because people think Kansas is vulnerable. Although it's weird, though, money-wise, people are saying Kansas still has a shot. So Samford maybe an upset. McNeese could have a 13 and a 12 playing each other. I like McNeese's chances there. They're a good team. So I think they advance out. I think they lose to Purdue. And then on the bottom side of the Midwest bracket, I think Oregon takes care of South Carolina. That's another one of my stronger plays. I think Akron could beat Creighton. I don't think they will. I think Creighton probably wins that game, but I like Oregon over Creighton. And then down in the very bottom, Texas, Colorado State. I think Colorado State, coming off that win last night, I think they got some momentum. They're going to be ready to go. Usually one of those first four teams makes a run. So I'm expecting that to either be Colorado or Colorado State. Hopefully it's both of them because I'm going to have them both advancing out here. So I've got Colorado State beating Texas and Tennessee beating St. Peter's. That'll just be they'll just choke them like a boa constrictor. Tennessee was awful in the SEC tournament, but that's okay. I think they're focused on this one. I don't love Tennessee, but lesser of a few evils, and we'll go with Tennessee over Colorado State. And then Tennessee versus Oregon, I'm going to lean Tennessee there. Connect just a little too good. So I got Tennessee and Purdue in the Midwest final. I know it's a little bit chalky. Going to have Tennessee beating Purdue. So I got Purdue losing to Tennessee. So on the right side of the bracket, I got Houston and Tennessee, Auburn and Nevada over on the left-hand side. I have Auburn and Houston in the final, and I have Auburn winning it all. So I don't know if that's got any shot in the world of happening. But Tennessee at plus 350 in the West, Oregon at 70-1 out of there. If Oregon could get by Tennessee, I don't see why they couldn't win that one. And then on the South region, Houston around plus 140, plus 160, somewhere in there. You got Colorado at 60-1 to make the Final Four. So take a look at those. A couple Sweet 16 bets that I thought were worth taking a look at. Actually, let's go Sweet 16 and then Elite 8. McNeese plus 550 to make the Sweet 16. They could beat Gonzaga, and they may have to play Samford next or beat up Kansas team. So I think that one's a really good one. Makes a lot of sense at plus 550. Oregon plus 550. I like their path. I think South Carolina's poorly coached, and then they get Creighton or Akron. I think they beat both those teams. Plus 550 on that one. JMU plus 750 to advance to the Sweet 16. I know they got some tricky spots here. Can they beat Houston? Or it won't really matter because they'll already be in the Sweet 16, so they won't need to beat Houston. So plus 750 on them. Nevada plus 450 out of the West region. I like them a lot. Plus 450 to Sweet 16 for them. Colorado 11-1 to make the Sweet 16 out of the South region. And then Elite Eights. Nevada, keep it rolling. Plus 850. Because if you're playing a team like Nevada who's a monster number to win it all, I know they're not going to win it all. But if they can make the Final Four, I can make some money. I can get them in the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight, and the Final Four. So be looking at that. If you have a team, and then you put yourself in a spot where you can hedge out and lock in a profit. Auburn plus 210 to make the Elite Eight. I think it's a good price. JMU 40-1 to make the Elite Eight. I don't think they can do it, but you never know. If somehow Houston would stub their toe, Texas A&M has athletes. Maybe they could beat them. And then JMU has a little bit more of an open path. And then Colorado down in the South region at 25-1. So those are the teams that I like. Probably not going to be anything good there, but I'm not really into picking the brackets. We're just trying to find winners here from a point spread standpoint. So we're going to take a quick break here, but first, I'm going to tell you about a couple of interesting trends here. Mississippi State, 9-0, New Mexico, 8-0, UAB, 5-0, all unbeaten on neutral courts this year. Alabama, 1-5 on neutral, so keep that one in mind. Atlantic Sun teams, 11-4 ATS in the NCAA tournament, 9-3 ATS versus Power 6. Since 2001, Stetson, plus the points versus UConn will be in that play. So take a peek at that. I know I said UConn probably, but maybe Stetson can get the job done. Big Ten teams who are seeded 6 seed or better, 27-43-1 since 2015 ATS, Purdue, Illinois, Wisconsin. All three of those teams I wouldn't bet on the spreads right now for the first game. I think they'll probably all win, but don't think they'll cover. Colonial Athletic, now the Coastal Athletic Association teams are 26-12-3, 68% since 01. That would be a play on Charleston. I think they'll hang in that game against Alabama because it's going to be whoever can get a few stops. Ivy League teams, 12-7 ATS, 66% in their last 19 games. So Yale against Auburn, maybe Yale covers that. I think Auburn definitely wins the game, but Yale could cover that for sure. SEC is just 25-and 46 ATS, 35.2% since 2018. However, the SEC teams that are favorites of 20 or more are 10-0 to the over in those same amount in that same span from since 2021, averaging 86.8 points per game. That's a play on the Tennessee game over the total. So keep that one in mind. And then Sunbelt teams, 2-5 ATS, 0-7 straight up in their last 7, while the under has went 6-1 in those games. JMU, Wisconsin to the under is what that one says. So intriguing trends there, but wherever you're looking for the information at, don't look too much because it'll psych you out. You can find a trend to pretty much back any team in here. You got to go with your gut. You got to go trust your eyes, what you saw in the conference tournaments. All right, we'll take a break, come back, hit some hockey, some golf, little Aussie rules, and then it's on to racing. It's the 79th edition here of Bettor's Last Stand for the Pine Room Studios. We're going to take a quick break. Be right back.
Reminder, this show is for informational and entertainment purposes only. All wagering activities should only be conducted by those 21 years of age or older and within the confines of federal, state, and local law. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, contact 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537. All right, men, load the cannons and hold the line. You're listening to Bettor's Last Stand.
All right, welcome back in Bettor's Last Stand Show 79. I want to thank our sponsors, IC Cab, as always. 304-232-1313 or download the IC Cab app today. IC Cab, always working. Also thank our friends at Zambito Flooring America and Four Seasons Golf for all their incredible support over the past few months. We appreciate them getting on board with the radio show and all the Pine Room Studios content and shows. It's great to be involved with Ricky. We look forward to doing some fun stuff with him down the road. And again, thanks to Generations and Figueretti's for their wonderful support during Lunch Madness. We're down to the Final Four there, so the Fajita 4. So tune in on the radio 12 to 3 on Friday for all the up-to-date rundown of Lunch Madness, who's in, who's out. Central and John Marshall, dog fight, and then we got St. C and Monroe Central. So really good stuff there. Hope you're checking that stuff out. And again, thanks to all of our sponsors, Gumby's, Jill's Gentlemen's Club, everybody over at the Watchdog for everything that they've done for us throughout the time here. Waterfront Hall, we got the big, North Atlantic Beer Mile. There we go. Couldn't think of the proper term. So North Atlantic Beer Mile, and it's going to be during the Waterfront Fest down there on May the 4th. So check out at the Pine Room Studios for all the information on that. You can sign up for tickets, register, and all that kind of stuff. You can sponsor. You can do whatever you need to do to get ready for that one. That is on May the 4th, 2 o'clock. I believe the race starts, but there's events going on all day down there. Kentucky Derby, the eve of Cinco de Mayo, Star Wars Day for those of us who are into that, which is really cool. So thanks to our friends down at Waterfront Hall. Those guys have been working with our group quite regularly to get this thing ready to go. So it'll be a good day there on May the 4th. So circle that one on your calendars. All right, back to business. Hockey-wise, actually, let's go over a couple of bad beats. This is more basketball stuff. So there are some ridiculous beats here and just a few games that I mentioned. I'm sure there was plenty more. But teams who were left out of the tournament for Virginia, to me, is a bad beat. You had Indiana State, St. John's, Seton Hall. All of them would have put up a better showing last night than Virginia. So that's a bad beat right there. And then Virginia, staying in the news of Virginia money line, or if you had them outright in the ACC tournament, or if you had North Carolina in the ACC tournament, this impacted all of that. So Virginia is leading by 3 with less than 30 seconds left in the game against NC State. They decide not to foul, which is just absurd to me. I talked about how Tiana Kelly from University of Charleston, I loved her as a coach because she fouls up by 3 to shoot the 2 foul. Like, you can't, you're extending the game in your favor and running the timeout. It's an advantage for you. I don't understand why people don't do it. People were throwing threes in from all parts. So guess what happens? Well, they don't foul. So, and not to mention, Virginia missed several free throws down the stretch. So NC State banks in a 3 at the buzzer, puts it in OT, they win by 8. So guess what? Virginia's out. NC State is now alive, and they end up going on and winning the tournament. So really terrible. Game goes to overtime, of course, goes over the total. Insult to injury there. So an awful, awful, awful decision by Tony Bennett, who's really starting to show that maybe his style is just not going to work anymore. Just a strange run of games for Virginia over the last few years, with losing to the 16, winning the title, and then they bowed out the double-digit seeds several times, lose again. I mean, they're awful. And earlier in the year, I'll be the first to admit I was so wrong. I said on here, and I think I even said on the radio, I was like, I must have watched them on a night where they were just making every shot, which didn't happen ever again. But I was like, man, Virginia actually has some offensive talent this year again, finally, for the first time since their national championship. Well, that was just an absolute mischaracterization by me. So apologies for that one. If you did anything with Virginia, that was an awful, awful take by me, and I deserve to be strung up for that one. Whew, boy. So I was way wrong on them. I started to see that, though, the last few weeks of the year. Like, this team is absolutely awful. I can't believe I thought they were good for a moment. Kent State money line against the Who did they? Oh, Akron. Yeah, this is in the championship of the MAC. This one's heartbreaker here. Kent State goes up 1 after this dude makes a free throw, and then a guy fouls. He thought they were down 1. If you saw that, you feel for the kid. The coach about out of I don't know, he didn't have a heart attack. Akron hits a pair of free throws, wins the game 62-61. That could have been Kent's bid instead of Akron. Tough one there for the Kent kid. Gotta know situations, score, and time. That's number one. You got to. Guys got to play with, you got to have a more cerebral approach to the game. Can't mess that one up. It's really, really tough one. Brown up 6 seconds. Another one. This was another agonizing one. Brown, Ivy League championship game at Columbia. Brown up 6 with 20 seconds left against Yale. They really didn't do a very good job. They missed some free throws, and then, so they missed a free throw. I think they missed the back end of a free throw. They made one to go up 6. They give up an and 1. I don't know what this dude's trying to do. He's trying to block it. He body blocks this dude. He makes the layup, cuts it to 3. Then you had more missed free throws by Brown, and then eventually it gets to the point where it's a 1-point game. It's 61-60. With about 12 seconds left, they come down, and this dude on the baseline for Yale is like unguarded, and he does his little floater. It's a tough shot because he didn't bank it, and it was like a little bit between the block and like the baseline, so it was like one of those no man's land shots. He makes it, they win. Yale walks it off and wins 62-61. Terrible, terrible way to end it for Brown, who hadn't made the tournament since the 80s. Yikes. Just an ugly, ugly way to end things for them. So condolences out to those teams, Kent and Brown especially. Virginia, I don't feel bad for you at all. You're an idiot. All right, hockey. Let's get into it here. Penguins up and down again. You just don't know what to think. Some of these teams, though, Detroit, who I was all in on, then I was down on because they didn't do anything to trade deadline. Now they've won 2 out of 3. Do they have a little bit of life? The Devils beat the Penguins last night. Do they have a little bit of life? These teams are all beating each other, and they're all really bad still. Philadelphia is hanging on. I feel pretty comfortable about I thought I did about Detroit making it in. I thought I felt good about the Islanders, but now they've lost 3 in a row again. So this is really tough, and figuring out who's going to be hot and cold. Now Tampa's starting to warm back up, so they're playing really well. So they were a team I was high on earlier. So that's just really going to be, if you can catch the wave, it's literally like surfing. You got to catch the wave at the right time because these teams continue to falter. Just going through some of the goals in the first period and second period numbers. Ottawa 50-17 goal yes in the first 10. Tampa 46-22. Dallas 46-24. So the last 10. Ottawa 9-1. Dallas 9-1. Philly 8-2. Montreal 8-2. That is goal in the first 10 minutes of the last 10 games. Second period and third period numbers. Second period overs. Toronto 54-13. These continue to be strong. Also Ottawa 54-13. Dallas 53-16. Last 10. San Jose 9-1. Toronto, Dallas, New York, Pittsburgh, Florida, and Calgary all 8-2. Second period over in their last 10. Strong trends. Third period overs. Tampa 51-17. Minnesota 50-19. Montreal 49-19. Last 10. Tampa, Pittsburgh, Rangers 9-1. Montreal, Columbus, Detroit, Calgary, Toronto, Edmonton, Nashville, Ottawa, Carolina, Seattle, all 8-2. The last 10 third period overs. So there's like half, almost a third of the teams in the league that are smashing the third period overs currently. So get on those. Let's go to golf here real quick. We talked about Scottie Scheffler. Just right now with the way the PGA Tour is so poor. His next best competition is Rory McIlroy, which is an embarrassment. Rory McIlroy is never winning a big event ever again. He's a clown. He's not any good. I don't know why people are so obsessed with the guy. He continues to get overbet. He's priced ridiculously. He's priced 10-1 to win the Masters. It's not going to happen. He's just not ever going to beat Scottie Scheffler. And then when the live guys come on for the majors, he's not beating them. So continue to fade Rory McIlroy. It's a losing endeavor to keep backing him. He's at a terrible price, and he never wins. And he was 10 shots behind, and they're still showing him on TV. It's like Tiger Woods, only he was never Tiger Woods. Scheffler's strong, but when the live boys come over, hopefully they'll give him a run. I'm hopeful for that. VALSPAR, best bets. We just missed last week with Harmon Matsuyama dancing around up there. We even had Doug Gim. The Gim Reaper had a good run there too. So had some guys in play. Wasn't terrible. All right, guys I like this week. Like Sam Burns to win the tournament around 11 or 12-1. He's my top play, followed by Keith Mitchell at 40-1. Adam Schenk at 59, 60-1 range. And then Nick Taylor anywhere from 30 to 35-1. Those are my top plays. Again, Sam Burns, Adam Schenk, Keith Mitchell, Nick Taylor. Top plays, Davis Riley and Garrick Higo, both at 150 to 200-1. Those are my long shots there at the VALSPAR. This will be at Copperhead in Palm Harbor, Florida. Not one of the better tournaments. So, but that's okay. We got basketball and we got Aussie Rules and we got like real things to worry about. So let's get on to Aussie Rules here real quick before we get ready to talk racing with our man Sam the Man. So Aussie Rules back in full swing right now. You had round 1 last week as our first full schedule. We actually have a couple teams off already on a bye week. You have Carlton and Brisbane, I believe, are the 2 on the bye week this week. So won't be having any action for them. The Wednesday game, I'm not going to talk about that one because it won't much matter for you here. So we're going to focus on, but I did like that one under from Collingwood and St. Kilda, who I got St. Kilda on right now. Let's see. And then Thursday's match, Geelong, who got the win but didn't cover last week. And I like that game. I like the Cats. Cats are actually getting 12.5 this week. Last week they were laying 12.5, so go with the Cats plus 12.5. And I like the under 172.5 in that one. That's Thursday. So that, again, I'll have that one posted on the BLS_PRP Twitter page so you can follow all these picks. All right, so let's get into the games that you can wager on. This will be a 10:45 Eastern time start on Friday night. So you get your IC cab ride home about 10:30. You're perfect. You're tucked in, ready to watch the Kangaroos of North Melbourne taking on the Fremantle Dockers. Now, I said last week that the Roos I thought would hang around, and they kind of did. They kind of did exactly what I expected. They scored 82 points last week against GWS, who's really good. So we got that one in. We actually cashed both sides of that one. We had the Kangaroos plus the 50, and we had the over in that game, so it went well over 200. So I'm going with North Melbourne again here. I think they're good enough to cover this against Fremantle. We're catching 14, total 170.5. So we go with the Roos and the over. That is North Melbourne and over in the Friday evening game. All right, let's go down to 1:35 a.m. Eastern time. It'll be Saturday morning, Friday night, however you want to look at it. It will be Melbourne, the Demons, taking on the Hawthorn Hawks. Melbourne minus 23.5, total 169.5. We had the D's last week. They beat up on Western 109-64, so it was an impressive win there. That was one of the winners for us. We'll be going with the D's again. So the Demons of Melbourne minus 22.5 against Hawthorn, and I like the over in that one as well, the over 169.5. Another early Saturday game, 4:30 a.m. Eastern time. It'll be the Sydney Swans and the Essendon Bombers. Sydney comes in 2-0, Essendon 1-0. Essendon won a game last week against the Hawks, who are not very good, so I don't really give them a whole lot of credit for that. Sydney started out well. Now, we were on the Swans heavy last year, and they disappointed us. Now they're playing pretty good, so a little bit frustrating there. Might have been a year too early on that, but it'll be Sydney minus 29.5. Don't love that one. It's a lot of points to cover. Essendon's a little bit scrappy, total 166.5. I think that Essendon keeps this one down a little bit. They're probably not going to score a ton here. Well, they scored 107 last week, so we're going to go under here, which is a little bit risky because the Swans can score it a little bit, but I like the 166.5, and I think the under is a good play here. I think these teams' styles will cancel each other out. Sunday or late Saturday, it's actually late Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern. Saturday night, it'll be the Gold Coast Suns 2-0 and the Western Bulldogs 0-1. It'll be Western minus 8.5. So the underdog or the favorite here is the team without the win versus the team who is 2-0. So Gold Coast off to a good start. Total 159.5. I'll be going with the over in this game. So that is Gold Coast, the Suns, and the Western Doggies over 159.5 on Saturday night. Then a Sunday 1 a.m. So late Saturday, early Sunday 1 a.m. Eastern time. It'll be Richmond and Port Adelaide. Port Adelaide 1-0, Richmond 0-2. We said Richmond was going to be awful. We backed them as an underplay all year long, so we gave that one out as one of our future bets. We're off to a good start there, although Richmond competed a little bit better than I expected. But Port Adelaide, too much for them here, only laying 12.5. That looks a little weird. It looks like the Brisbane line from last week, a little bit off, but we're going with the power roll over Richmond, and I think that should be a pretty good one at the Melbourne Cricket Ground. West Coast and GWS. Geez, I couldn't get the West out. 3:50 a.m. on Sunday morning. It'll be GWS minus 46.5. Total 177.5. This is my best bet of the week here. GWS will probably win this game by over 100 points. I will not be surprised, so I'm backing that one. If you can find those exact bands, over 80, over 90, you can do that. So find it out there, plus money. There's so many great offerings on this AFL stuff. You got to get into it. You got to find value here. There's tons and tons of options. You can bet these games every which way but loose. It's so much fun. GWS 2-0. They're really good. They can score a lot of points. They're going to absolutely crush West Coast, who has been decimated by injuries and is already a terrible team anyway. So we're going with GWS and the over in that one of 177.5. And again, I think GWS will win by over 100. And I think you can find bands there better than the 46.5 to cover. I think they'll cover that easy. You can play them over 60, 70, 80, 90, however you want to do it. Get creative. Should be a absolute blasting by GWS. So we're on the Giants, the Power, the Demons, the Kangas, and the Cats. And then we got the Adelaide Geelong game under, the North Melbourne Fremantle game over, the Hawthorn Melbourne game over, the Sydney Essendon game under, the Western Gold Coast game over, and the West Coast GWS game over. So that'll conclude the AFL roundup for the week here on Bettor's Last Stand. We're going to get ready to take another break and then come back with Sam the Man. We're going to talk some racing, NASCAR, F1, little INDY CAR as we prepare for March Madness, get Sam's opinions on some of the brackets and some of the things heating up there. Also got baseball right around the corner, and baseball actually started up today with the Dodgers and Padres. It was a 5-2 win for the Dodgers. So off to a good start there. Of course, my first bet of the year was a loser. I had the over in the game, so needed another couple runs there to get that one home. But baseball around the corner, we'll talk plenty more about that on the various shows. Check out us over on the Watchdog every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday for lots of talk about sports, about this, that, and whatever else is going on in the world today. So, it's been a good time here on Bettor's Last Stand today. Hopefully we found you some winners. Again, check out BLS_PRP for all the updates. Check out at the Pine Room Studios for all the other updates on the Beer Mile, on Lunch Madness, on the various other things going on across the Pine Room Studios platform as we continue to roll on into the spring and get ready for baseball and some of the outdoor activities to begin starting up. I want to thank Rick Vion from Belmont Brew Works. He's another guy that's been a great to us, sponsoring us and helping us out. And we've done 3 shows over at his place. Had another one over there last Wednesday. Had a great time with Rick and his crew. They do a great job. So if you haven't been over to Martins Ferry to check out Belmont Brew Works, it's a really short and easy ride over there. They got a great menu, great drinks, and it's a great atmosphere. So cheers to Rick. Nailers back in town this weekend. I'm excited about that. They lost the school day game yesterday. Not impressive fashion, 7-2. They got trounced by Indy, who's been a bad matchup for the Nailers this year so far. So hopefully want to steer clear from Indy in the playoff run. But Nailers still in a good spot. They got 3 games at home this weekend against 3 different division opponents. So we'll be out there Frosty Friday on Friday night, of course. You also have Ladies Night on Friday night, and then you got Wizards and Wands on Saturday, and then Screen Time Sunday on Sunday. So again, thanks to the Nailers and everybody over there for everything they've done for the Pine Room. We enjoy doing stuff for them as well, pumping it up, getting the word out there, following the games, getting people back interested in wheeling hockey, because it's nice to have it here, and they do such a great job down at West Banco Arena for all the events. PBR was here last week, so I heard that was an awesome time. So things are hopping here. Everything's good except the downtown roadway. So stay out of the potholes, that's for sure. All right, we're going to take a break. Bettor's Last Stand, show 79 from the Pine Room Studios. We'll be back with Sam to talk some racing, a little bit of hoops, and wrap things up.
Reminder, this show is for informational and entertainment purposes only. All wagering activities should only be conducted by those 21 years of age or older and within the confines of federal, state, and local law. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, contact 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537. All right, men, load the cannons and hold the line. You're listening to Bettor's Last Stand.
All right, welcome back in. It's Bettor's Last Stand, show number 79 for the Pine Room Studios here. Now joined by Sam the Man. We missed him last week, but he's back and better than ever. We had no F1 and no INDY CAR last week, but we did have NASCAR. And once again, we were snake bit with our picks with some of the things that shook out. You were kind of doomed from the start as Ryan Blaney gets the pole, and you knew that was going to be tough to win from the pole because there's so many damn good guys. And so that was kind of a hindrance. But what did you think of the race overall? I got to tell you, the tire situation and the weird things going on at Bristol, it was like, geez, we get rid of the dirt and we still got a fucking mess on our hands.
Yeah, I was very excited that the concrete was back.
Right.
And I didn't say it definitely didn't disappoint. I thought the racing was great, just with the factors, with the tires, how everybody had to adjust, who can figure it out, who can't. I mean, that's really why Denny won.
Absolutely. No doubt. No doubt.
I mean, he figured it out. I heard him talk about him understanding and feeling it in his car. As soon as it started to slide, his right rear would slide. He'd say he would know immediately, this tire's done. I got a pit.
Yeah, and again, vast amount of experience. Truex tried to give him a run there in the last restart. Couldn't really do it. But there was times in the race where I was convinced that like a certain guy was going to win, and then all of a sudden it just unravels. Like I thought Ty Gibbs was going to have a runaway car. But
Matt,
I always know you can never count Hamlin out.
No, but you said it. Ty Gibbs dominated the first two stages. I mean, I rode here. It was his first career stage win in the Cup Series. Like that's a big deal. And the second one was incredible. And then I think he just ran out of gas, man. I mean, they were going way too hard those first two stages. Yeah,
they were. And I think the win is coming for him. I mean, I like what I see, and he's continuing to learn, which is always a good thing. But it's tough to beat these old dogs, these Denny Hamlins and Truex and Keselowski. You look at the top three guys, all tons of experience there, and I guess that goes without saying. Now, one guy that's starting to concern me who's on the experience side is what in the hell? Kyle Busch every week has something go wrong in some capacity, whether it's his fault or whatever. I mean, last week he's going backwards on the track for a while. I mean, I don't know. He reminds me of Chris Bell. Like there's always something going wrong with him unless he's in victory lane. He can't count on him for a good finish anymore.
No, and I'm not feeling too great about him as a pick. No. You know, I thought maybe the veteran prowess of him and just how good he was, would carry over, but I don't know. Maybe this is really what a Richard Childress team can field. Maybe this really is the difference from Gibbs to.
Could be.
I don't know. It's odd. It's odd.
At some point, that it was bound to show itself. Obviously, Austin Dillon not very impressive again either.
Jesus, Matt.
But yeah, these bigger teams now seem to be separating. For a while, I thought Childress was pretty close to being on par with them. But now it's really, you're right. You're exactly right. Like there's a major difference here between the JGR and the even the Penske team. I mean, and the Hendrick, of course. But yeah,
I mean, hell, Matt, even front row is closer to the big guys than.
And honestly, RFK is too. So
I agree.
Sad but true. All right, let's shift over to the Echo Park Automotive Grand Prix. It'll be coming to us from the COTA Circuit of the Americas out in Austin, Texas. We've had 3 different winners in this race in the past years. Tyler Reddick won it last time. And then we had Kyle Larson in 2021, Ross Chastain in 2022. I actually like this track. I think it's been pretty exciting. Had some interesting weather events. We had some rain that one year. They got to use the wiper, and had some cool stuff happening there. Initial thoughts? Are you a fan of the COTA track overall?
I in the beginning wasn't a fan of these type of tracks in the street races, but I love them now. In particular, this one I think is great. I think that this is really, you can see what a driver does when he gets out in the lead, because there are several people that can get the lead in this race, I believe, and can really run away with it.
Oh, absolutely.
I really do think that.
One of those guys could be Ty Gibbs. I mean, he's been a great road racer. The momentum is going the right way for him. I actually don't mind his price at 12-1 this week. I don't think that's a terrible price. I thought he might actually be a touch lower. William Byron, Chase Elliott, Tyler Reddick, a really low price there, like less than 5-1. I got to pass on that.
I hate that.
I can't take it. I mean, he led 41 last year, but he was beatable. Kyle Busch actually finished second in the race. I can't play Tyler Reddick at 4.5 or 5-1. That's just too short with too many other great road racers, as you mentioned. Kyle Larson at 12. Ross Chastain, another winner here at 13.
I don't hate McDowell.
No, Michael McDowell's had a great season. He's a great road racer. You got AJ Allmendinger, who's run good laps here in the past. But I'm looking for. I did this last week. I'm going with it again. I guess I'm just going to go with it till he actually wins. I'm going with Chase Elliott, but even more specifically, I think it's going to be tough to beat the Hendrick cars at this track. I think one of them may win it. I like a Chevy to win the race. I even like Alex Bowman here in this race. He raced well last week. He's raced well here in the past. I like him a little bit, 25-1. But I'm going with Chase around 7.5, 8-1. I think he's got to get to victory lane, and what better spot to do it in as a road course.
Alex Bowman is my winner.
All right, good.
He
good.
is my pick. I absolutely love it. I'm liking what he's been putting out.
Yes.
You know, he needs it. Like we've talked, he's got the talent. He's been struggling. He got hurt last year.
Yep.
He can do it, and he's starting to prove it. And I think this one's huge. But Matt, this was a tough one because Allmendinger. I think Allmendinger is a very, very good sleeper, and also I can't believe I'm saying this, Cindric.
Oh, I got Cindric too. Yeah, I definitely.
Cindric.
Oh, I love Austin Cindric on road courses. I'm 100% with you on that one. I have around 25, 26 to 1. I mean, you can't pass that up. He. If you remember, and I know you do, but if our listeners, whenever they watched Xfinity racing, I mean, he dominated on these tracks. Like he was gapping the next best guy like by a lot, and that was usually Ty Gibbs even at that time when he's coming up, and he was on. That was like his rookie year. But Cindric was so good in those. I mean, he'd have to screw up or have his tire fall off for him to get beat in these races. So I think he needs a good run. You're right about Bowman. I think the Hendrick cars are going to be tough, but I want to throw a couple other long shots at you that I like this week. Actually, just one. I like Daniel Suarez a little bit. What do you think of him?
Yeah, I didn't write him down. I looked at it. I don't know. To me, he got his win. I think I was looking on the other end of his
Might
team.
not be as hungry, right? Yeah, Chastain.
Right. I think Chastain, because he pushed. I forget who was in the lead. He pushed him out of the way to get his win.
Right.
But what do you think about somebody like a Briscoe or like a Gilliland?
Yeah, but Briscoe
just in the top 10.
Briscoe intrigued me. He ran pretty well here. I looked at his past record. I mean, they've only ran here 3 times in the Cup cars, but he was 15th last time. I mean, I thought he was worth maybe a little bit of. I mean, he's up around 50 to 1 now. He's starting to drift up to where he's getting totally ignored by the odds makers, and I don't think that you can do that yet because, we talk about the equipment that he has. He's on a good team. So I don't think that's the issue. I think this guy's biggest issue is a lot like Daniel Suarez. It's confidence. It's just if he could get a little bit of a snowball effect, I think the same applies to Bowman and Cindric and a lot of these guys we talked about. Just getting that confidence to be able to stay up there week in, week out and compete.
Yeah, and I just caught something that caught my eye right here. I'm looking at a top 5 at a Shane Van Gisbergen's, a plus 225 for a top 5. I mean, these are the type of tracks that he raced in Australia his whole career.
He's dangerous here.
He is dangerous. He's had a good Xfinity start. I think that he is a very, very underrated, underrated signing.
And it's interesting because, like, if you hear, like, shows like ours or shows like other in NASCAR Race Hub, they'll mention it, but, like, other places may not even talk about him, but like he's like 10.5, 11 to 1 right now. So odds making wise, people have taken note that this guy's a really good road street racer. He's shown that before. He's won, and now he's getting more laps in not quite Cup cars, but similar stock cars. He's getting more laps. He's getting familiar with these tracks in North America. I think this guy's I don't want to call him a superstar. I don't think he'll be to that magnitude, but I think this guy's a multiple series winning type driver.
Yeah, I agree. And I think this is going to be like this is the guy that came in last year and won the race, or won the only race he participated in because he's that good, man. He just drove the car harder. He's just been quiet this year. He's ready, man.
He is. I like him. I think he cannot be ignored, and I think the top 5 is a really good one there because I think he'll be very, very steady. Guys like him, it just reminds me of like the old days when you bring in like Boris Said and Wally Dallenbach, and these guys were like road course experts, and they always, if their equipment held up, they were always in the top 10. Like you didn't ever have to worry because they weren't going to miss a corner, they weren't going to miss shift or anything because they knew the track so well. They just didn't maybe have the best equipment. All right, so let's get down to a few guys. Now, I also think like Brad Keselowski's not been a good road racer, but he's drifted up to like 100 to 1 now. It's
I know, it's ridiculous.
And he ran really well last week. So, and Brad's
really
a very aggressive guy, and I know he wants to win again. So I wouldn't totally ignore him. Guys in the trouble spots for me though. Joey Logano now up to almost 40 to 1 here. What the hell is going on with him? Him and Kyle Busch right now, to me, are in a spot where they better get it together here soon because people are going to start questioning their futures here before too long.
Yeah, I actually saw an article, probably 2 days ago that said Logano, the odd man out at Penske, question mark. And I was like, he really, really may be.
How crazy is that? Like a year removed from a title. Like,
I know.
It's just
he's struggling in a way that's just not Logano-esque.
Bizarre. How about Truex? He had a good run last week. Always been a pretty good road racer. Hasn't had great numbers at this place, but is he somebody that you would still not totally discredit?
Yeah, I actually had him written in my sleepers. I also had Busher in there as well because I think Busher's number's pretty good.
Well, I tell you what, and I'm guilty of this because I didn't realize how good Chris Busher actually is on road courses in those kind. I never really thought. I always thought of him like a big speedway guy. He's pretty good at Pocono and obviously the plate tracks, but like his numbers are pretty good.
Yeah, they are. They are, and I think he's solidified himself as a pretty solid racer because
he
he's
really
doing
has.
the same things he did last year, and so is Keselowski, honestly.
Yeah, I think they got a good team there. I expect them to continue to be strong. How about guys like? Here's a guy let's look at like right now. It's like Ricky Stenhouse, like 500 to 1. I mean, for a top 10, he ran 7th here last time. I mean,
I know.
I mean, there's a lot of value in this race. I mean, you got Denny Hamlin. I know he won last week, but he's won road races 20 to 1 for him. I mean, there's just guys everywhere in this. You talked about McDowell around 18 to 20. Ryan Blaney's a good road racer. He's like 40 to 1. Chris Bell.
And even Justin Haley.
Yes.
Justin Haley was the car that was behind Van Gisbergen in the Echo Park last year.
Justin Haley, to me, I'm looking for him to get the right situation because I think he's got talent. I really do. Like, to me, give me him over Harrison Burton or somebody like that any day of the week. Like, that's not even close to me. But, yeah, I mean, this should be a great race. I'm looking forward to even Eric Jones you can't dismiss. John Hunter Nemechek ran well last week. I don't know. This is a tough one, but I'm going with Chase as my top play. You're going with Bowman. So maybe Hendrick may own victory lane. I have a feeling they might.
Hey, who the hell is Timmy Hill? I'm seeing Timmy Hill at the bottom of this. It's like,
he's a guy that he
who's
just
he racing for?
I don't know.
Childress?
Yeah, I don't know who his sponsor is for this week. I have no idea who his team is. I don't know because he just shows up every once in a while. Like I know he's a real good racing simulator racer. That's about all.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's
so
good.
we'll see how that translates here. I'm sure his car will be a hunk of shit.
Hey, I'm pretty good at Madden. I should probably go be the fucking quarterback.
Yeah, all right. Well, I guess it did work for William Byron. He did those simulations.
Right, yeah, he's
for
killing
all that
it.
time. Kaz Gralla used to be regarded as a good road racer too. I mean, I don't know. This is tough, man. But this is a good sign for NASCAR because you got so many winners and so many different teams that are capable of winning each week. So we'll watch practice and qualify and see how track position. Obviously, very important here. It's going to be tough to win outside of the top dozen or so spots. So we'll keep an eye on that. But I'm looking forward to this race quite a bit.
Oh yeah, I'm very excited. I mean, NASCAR's been, I would say, on fire so far. Their ratings are up every race so far. That's great. And
we got an Easter race next week, and it's not the dirt race. So we go to Richmond, which is awesome.
I know. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah, it's really, really exciting. So I'm looking forward to watching that one with you, buddy. That's going to be a good time. Great. All right, let's talk a little bit of F1 here. We go to Australia. Just recapping a little about the Saudi Grand Prix. Max and Sergio Perez run 1-2 for Red Bull. Ferrari was pretty decent. The McLarens were okay. I don't know. I'm still the Alpine guys still not where we want them to be at right now. Aston Martin's just too inconsistent for me. What were your observations, if you can even remember that terrible Saudi race?
It was tough. I'm not. F1 does not have me very excited right now.
It's tough. I mean, you want to be excited, but you can't. Yep.
I know. I do. It's just what is gonna happen this year besides Max getting the lead, and you know what I mean? Honestly,
really
what can possibly happen of excitement? Like, whose car can get up there and contend with his?
Nobody. And it's like you see him listed. He opens at like -525, and like that's probably too short of a price. Like I mean, barring mechanical failure, I mean, I wouldn't recommend anybody ever bet that. But like, it's like. You honestly, the best thing you can hope for each week in these things to try to make money, at least from him, is that he has an issue in the qualifying and he has to start like we talked about.
Right.
Starts 14th and then we
let him go.
I hope
that happens.
Let him loose.
I hope that happens.
Then you get him around like -170 or 80 instead, and then you can bet it. But here's what I want to see what you think. I'm thinking maybe the McLarens. I thought they did pretty well here last year. I thought the Aston Martins ran pretty well here last year. So I'm thinking maybe the McLarens can run well here again this weekend. What do you think?
I agree 100%. These are the exact notes I have for this race. It says Max wins, McLaren's strong, Haas top 10, Albon top 10.
I like it. So what do you think of Mercedes in this situation?
I see him right around the
Six,
between fifth and eighth.
Right.
Somewhere right in between there.
Yeah, no, I
think
agree
Ferrari's
with you.
going to be strong.
I think the Ferraris will be better than Mercedes here. Just looking at the past races, I don't know. Lewis did finish second here last year. Fernando Alonso ran well, and Lance Stroll. So can we see a Lance Stroll getting out of his normal top 10 spot and get into the top 6?
Then weren't they 3-4 last year?
Yeah.
I hope, man. He needs something because he's really on the edge of getting, off that team.
Yeah, he is. It's hard to find anything. What do you think about your Alpine boys?
What they finished last year in the top 10?
We had 2 DNFs. We had they both crashed. Gasly and Ocon both crashed.
That's good. Probably into each other, honestly.
Yeah, there was a lot of guys. So sometimes, you know what, I've found myself betting like how many cars will be classified each week, and sometimes a couple weeks ago I did actually cash a bet on that because I think it was only like one retiree. But in this race last year, you had Gasly crashed, Ocon crashed, De Vries crashed, Sargent crashed, Magnussen crashed, Albon crashed, Charles Leclerc crashed, and George Russell blew an engine. So I don't remember this, but it must have been a pretty exciting madness.
I don't remember that either. That's like a truck race at the end.
Right. Yeah, Daytona. Yeah.
Right. Jesus.
Yeah. So, and Sergio Perez had the fastest lap. So, I don't know. I'm probably going to go Red Bull double top 3. I'm thinking maybe Aston Martin's for the double top 10, and I'm going to take a shot with these McLarens to get a double top 6, but that's going to be a little bit risky, I think.
I love it. I'm in a complete agreement. So I think they're going to be strong.
All right. How about just touching briefly before I get your opinions on NCAA basketball? What did you think of the Joseph Newgarden performance? I thought the guy looked incredible with that in that St. Petersburg race. I mean, he was much the best, and it was pretty evident early on he was going to be really hard to beat.
Yeah, he was just absolutely dominant. I love Indy CAR, but I also have a serious gripe with their schedule. Is ridiculous. Terrible. It's the worst.
This race, what do you know about? I mean, I know this is even a points race.
I don't know anything.
It's like $1 million race at this place called Thermal Club in California. I have no idea about the track. So
it's like a secret.
I'll turn it on Sunday and about just like our listeners wanting to see what I'm going to actually see with my eyes. Like, okay, I have no idea what I'm going to see here.
Right. It's ridiculous that there's just no advertisement, no pump up for it, nothing, and then they don't race for almost a month.
Yeah.
It's dude, how do you keep people uninterested in IndyCar? This is exactly how.
Yeah, we next return on April 21st for a real points race.
Man, when I was looking at it, I was like, April 24th.
Yeah.
That's 29 days.
Yeah, it's crazy, and they're staying in California. That's in Long Beach, so I don't know what the deal is. They might as the next race is the Indy 500, it seems like.
Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know. But that's disappointing. We'll talk more about that one. Maybe we actually see something new there at the Thermal Club. I have no idea what to expect from that regard. But we're ready to go for NASCAR. Hopefully see some exciting things in the Australian Grand Prix. And then we got basketball. So I hope you didn't stay up and watch Virginia last night. God.
Jeez.
Horrendous. How could they even put them in? I heard all the Pitt fans today crying about it.
I don't know. Something's up with that. I don't care that Pitt didn't get in. You can't just, there were so many games down the stretch. Pitt lost to Syracuse, twice. They were brutal losses. I started watching them because they're, I love basketball, local team, and they just bad losses. You cannot lose to teams like that and expect to get in the tournament.
Didn't you think the ACC was really bad league this year? I thought it was terrible. Not anywhere near what it used to be. It's been slowly declining for a while, but it was really bad this year. So, yeah, I don't feel sorry for Pitt. I might feel a little bit more sorry for teams like Indiana State. Why not put somebody new in there? A little bit of excitement. St. John's, I mean, they lost a lot of bad games too, so I don't feel too bad for them. Seton Hall, same thing. But Indiana State, I would have liked to see them got in just because it's somebody new. And I think, don't you think, does it feel to you like it does to me that, these teams are being rewarded for their past years, like Virginia won the title a few years ago, so they got to put them in. Kansas, who's decimated with injuries, is a 4 seed still because they're always good. And San Diego State was good last year, so they gave them a 5 seed, which made no sense. They finished 5th in their conference. And Michigan State gets in again with double-figure losses because it's Tom Izzo. It's the same old guys.
it's like the regular season and just like didn't matter.
Right.
Just certain teams didn't do anything in the regular season and they're in.
Yeah. Which is what our football is going to be like here soon.
Oh my God, it's going to be brutal. That's going to be tough, man.
There's going to be 3 and 4 lost teams in there. Right?
64 or 68's enough. Like, jeez, it's going to be insane, man.
Yeah,
what is the NCAA doing, man?
Well, not much. They're
making
screwing
money,
things up,
I guess.
and paying kids a lot of money now with these NILs, and I don't know if they're going to have anybody left to coach it. All right, so is there any teams that intrigue you? I thought UConn's bracket came up really hard. I thought that was like a loaded region in the East region. So I think they're I think they're good. I think they're probably the best team. But man, they got to get by like teams like Auburn and Iowa State and Illinois, and that's really a hard part of the bracket. Did you have any areas that you thought a team maybe looked good to make a run?
I can see North Carolina losing. I have zero trust in anything North Carolina has to do.
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
Armando Baycott, he might get his 90th fucking double or whatever that stat.
He'll be back in this tournament next year, too.
Dude, I just can't believe it, seeing him.
He might have played against the aircraft carrier in college.
He might have. He really may have.
Been in there
the
so
aircraft
long.
carrier, he needs to get back.
Yeah, boy, they're pretty quiet about his injury. Can't really get a whole lot of information about it, but
Yeah, it didn't seem like it was.
they're
a big
still
deal in
playing
the
all right,
beginning.
though. They could actually be dangerous. They have a makeup now of a team, the Knicks, that actually have like kind of the guys you want on a team that's going to be playing a series. Like maybe not the most exciting, but they got guys that can guard and like they specialized parts that a lot of teams don't have.
Yeah. I love it. I can't wait for him.
Yeah, NBA playoffs right around the corner. So nobody in the tournament that sticks out to
I
you?
mean, not really in particular.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a bad field. I think the teams are all a lot of the same, mumbo jumbo.
Shit, I think Arizona could.
Yeah. They could win. They could get to the Final Four. They could lose the first round again, like
Right. It's just like, dude, the NCAA tournament. It's get in, and then it's all bets are off. Go with your gut, but.
Yeah, I made a case earlier on the show for Nevada to make a deep run for
I have
Colorado.
I have a shirt I got at TJ Maxx. It was $4.99. It says 2023 NCAA tournament, Nevada Wolfpack.
All right, that's an omen.
It's just like a participation shirt.
Yes.
Like, hey, thanks for coming to the tournament.
That's going to be an omen for the Wolfpack to make a run. How about
let's go, baby?
You think Purdue can't get beat by 16 again, right? This time
I think they can. I think they can.
Yeah.
I really think they can. I think Zach Edey is so overrated.
He is.
He's so
what's
overrated.
his NBA career going to be like? Like nothing.
I don't know. He already tried, didn't he? Didn't he already just try and it's like, I got to go back to school?
Yeah,
it's not
he
working.
declared.
It's
and
like
then
Baycott did it too.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Baycott looks like he's half asleep every fucking game. So, yeah, I don't know. This is. I mean, by looking at the teams, Houston's pretty good, but they got beat pretty good by Iowa State. I don't know. You just don't know how these teams. I thought Auburn, to me, is the most likely to be able to overcome a lot of the challenges and make the Final Four, but I don't know. I really have no strong plays either. So, just try to go on a game-by-game basis. The Wagner Seahawks got a big win last night for me.
Yeah, they did.
They're starting it off well. So, all right, Sam. Well, thanks as always. It was good to catch up with you, and we'll see you next week, and then I'll see you in person on Easter. Looking forward to that.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, enjoy the racing and all the basketball action. We'll see you next week, buddy.
Yep. Talk to you, Matt.
All right, that's Sam the Man from Upper St. Clair checking in as always here on Bettor's Last Stand, giving us great insight and analysis on all things racing and sports across the gauntlet. It's good catching up with him. And again, thanks to all of our sponsors, everybody who's done everything to help us with these endeavors. We appreciate you all very much. Check us out on the Watchdog Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. Lunch Madness updates. We'll talk some more basketball, talk some baseball, talk some news, jump in the time machine, do a little bit of everything. Get the games back in here eventually. If you haven't checked out the Pine Room Studios across all the platforms, get on there at the Pine Room Studios on the YouTube page and across all the places where you find your podcast, whether it's Apple, Amazon, Spotify, all those places. You can check us out on there. Spread the word. Beer Mile on the 4th of May. Plenty more things to come from the Pine Room Studios in the coming weeks. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the basketball. Enjoy the racing. Enjoy the Aussie Rules. Enjoy the soccer, which is on international break, so that's why we didn't talk about any of that. A little bit of golf, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's going to be a busy weekend for me, but we're looking forward to it. So we'll see you next week here on Bettor's Last Stand for show number 80. Hopefully we have a few of the teams that we picked to go to the Final Four still around. Until next week, again, thanks to IC Cab, Zambito Flooring America, Four Seasons, Figueretti's, and Generations, as well as Jill's Gentlemen's Club in Gumby's. We will see you next week on Bettor's Last Stand for the Pine Room Studios. Have a great weekend. All right, welcome in. Bettor's Last Stand, back after a Thanksgiving hiatus. Last time we were seen over at Belmont Brew Works. Had our buddy Rick on the show. He had us over. It was a great evening. We talked a lot about sports betting on the show as always, and then had a few drinks and something to eat. So it was a good time. Chris here with me in the studio.
Hello.